Hello, everyone. I am back today with another interesting book review on your channel, Manage Better. So, as you know, I do like to read, and as part of my discipline of reading, I every week try and share some summary of one of the books that I've been reading. Usually, I share this on LinkedIn, but this time I thought let me also share a summary on YouTube. Right. So this will be a quick summary. Of course, it is not meant to replace the book. Nothing can. You should read the book and then draw your own lessons that you want to learn. But to encourage you to read, I am here with a summary of a book called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Now, David Goggins is an extremely uncommon man. He is a very, very decorated soldier of the US Armed Forces, um, US Marine, Ranger, multiple medals for his work in the U.S. Army. Uh, but he has multiple other facets. He's been an ultra marathoner. Uh, you know, participated and won many races globally, and not just normal races. Professional races. Like world champion kind of level. And some years ago, he attempted and succeeded in completing a world record for pull-ups. So, which is hear this out, 4,035 pull-ups in 24 hours. And he completed well below the 24 hours limit. Uh, but his life did not start this way, right? The story of the book, or the story of his life, which is captured beautifully in this book, is more about what he went through and the pain that he had throughout his life and how he repaired and rebuilt his life. And we all can do that. And that's the lesson, right? Of course, none of us may have the same pain, same difficulty, or some may have even more pain and difficulty than David had. But the lesson of his life is that pain, death, sorrow, all these things are part of life. We can't resent them. We can't get away from them. They are part of life. And we have to find a way within that. So that's the story of his life. And I'll give you a summary, of course, very quickly. He was born in, he's black, so he's a black man and was born in some, you can say abject poverty. Father was always drinking, had multiple other, vices, and did not take care of his family. As a result, David and his brother and mother had a very difficult time when David was a child, and he used to get beaten up. The descriptions in the book are really gut wrenching, and your heart will bleed when you read this. How can man, a father, do this to a small child, right? So, uh, throughout the first part of the book, you will find multiple instances where David has described how his early life was difficult and how his father continued to abuse the privileges that he had as the head of the family and drove him, his brother, and his mother, which was David's father's wife, to madness, literally madness, right? But and David could not study in school properly. He struggled. He won admission that he cheated through the primary and middle school. Somehow survived. Then he found his love for basketball. He did really well, but he could not excel there. And eventually, his ability to cram up things or memorize things caught up, because beyond a point in high school, you can't really cram up. He didn't know how to read and write properly. He was just managing somehow. And then life caught up and he was in great difficulty. The first job that he found after some initial struggle was to spray cockroach repellent sprays in restaurants during the night when the restaurants are closed. Not the ideal job that you and I would like, but he did it well. And one of the lessons we get in this book is that, whatever job you get, be grateful for that and do it well. As life progressed, he had little social skills. He struggled in his marriage, and so all that kind of bit. But slowly he found himself gravitated towards you know U.S. Marines. So U.S. Marines, as you may know, is the elite Marine commando force of the U.S. Navy. But they, of course, participate in missions across the world, rescue missions, and U.S. you can say military forces missions. Extremely elite force of physically fit, mentally agile, capable. So David was completely out of shape, was weighing 300 pounds when he applied for the U.S. Marine application. By that time, he had already served some time in the military or the armed forces, and had now since was looking for the next challenge. So 300 pounds is about 100 pounds more than what, or 50 kg more than what the permissible limit was. Right. In 10 weeks, I think 10 weeks or so, or maybe a little more than that, he lost all that weight and became fitter, and applied for this um, U.S. Marine training camp, was selected, was one of the best, but got injured. There's something called Hell Week, which is described in the book. He went through it twice. He was one of the few people who was allowed to come back after an injury and complete the course. One of the elite Marine fighters, you can say. And the story continues, but the story doesn't end there. He then found his love for ultra marathons. He became a world champion level ultra marathoners, has completed. Now, for those who are not aware of ultramarathon, these distances start at 50 kilometers and above, and could go up to 100, 200 kilometers or miles also in a day. So David has the records of running 150 miles in a day and 100 miles in a day and so on. Right? So, and while doing all this, he, because of his weight and, injuries, he often had multiple injuries, including stress fractures in his foot, ankle, knees, and all over the place. And he found a way of taping himself up and running. So you and I, many of us, most of us, can't walk in the condition that David ran and won the many of these races. That's the determination of this kind of a man. Of course, later on, he's found cure for all this work, and then got better. So why am I telling you all this? I'm telling you because, like David Goggins, we also have our fears and insecurities and difficulties in life. The joy of life is to find a way out and push through that pain and difficulty and get better. Throughout the book, David has shared multiple challenges which will help you also to get better. So some of the lessons that I learned, very few, callous your mind. So when you, for example, you will see that if you do hard work throughout the day and weeks, your hand develops some scales, right? And the pain of that work then produces, not because the pain is not there or the effort is not there. It is because the hand has developed some callus, and therefore it is like a protective layer. You can do the same to your mind, right? Do the painful work or hard work so much that your mind develops a barrier to it. So that is lesson one. The second lesson was accountability mirror. So David, in his early days, when he was very unfit, started writing post-its and pasted on it on his bathroom mirror. And these were messages to himself. We can also use messages to ourselves as accountability mirror and make ourselves accountable for what we want to do. The next lesson is life starts when pain begins. So you start to learn and grow when pain begins. Fourth lesson was around a cookie jar, right? So we all have successes in our life, and if we keep these successes as a virtual cookie jar or a sweets jar, and then every now and then when we feel defeated and fail, or feeling of failure overcomes, then we can dip into that cookie jar and take out a quickie. So the other lesson, lesson 5, was around visualization. So many of us are taught and we have learned that if you want to visualize, if you want to win something, achieve something, visualize the yourself on the podium. So David said that not only do that, but also visualize the process and the pain that you will need to go through to get there. For example, if you are training for a run, don't just visualize yourself on the podium. Also visualize the path, also study the path, research the path, the places where you will struggle, what will happen to you at mile 10, mile 20, when your body will start giving up. All that visualization helped David become a world-class ultra marathoner. The sixth lesson was around quitting takes only 1 second, and not quitting also takes only 1 second. Now, these are my words, not David's, but that was the lesson that I learned, that uh, most people who quit, they do so in a split second. And if they can survive that split second or a few more seconds, they might not actually quit. During many races and many stories that David has shared, he was on the verge of quitting, but pushed himself. And within minutes or seconds, he did not have that feeling anymore. All of us are like that only. Lesson 7 is around motivation being, I can't use the word online, but motivation being total crap, right? Motivation is momentary. It lasts only few seconds. You read a book, you see a video, do something, you get motivated. But how long does it last? You can make it last only if you have a system around it. If you have some process around it, right? So build a system, build a process, and don't rely on willpower and motivation all the time. It does not last. Motivation and willpower are very weak concepts which do not actually last. You need a system and a process. So lesson 9 is, wherever you get in life, there is always one level up. And David's story tells us that, he was one of the best commandos and, elite warriors in the field. And yet when he was in the final stages of, ranger selection, he was so overconfident that he missed a mile point and was not selected, in spite of being told that he was the best of the best. And he has included this story as a failure in his book because he wanted very badly this situation. He was the best, but yet one small mistake and he could not become. Here is the 10th and final lesson that I drew. Don't waste your time thinking what you deserve. Listen to this. Don't waste your time in life thinking about what you deserve. Work for it. Put in the effort, put in the pain, and then claim that. So the book is full of obstacles and lessons that you can learn from David Goggins' life. One warning, however, the book is full of foul language and expletives that, David, of course, uses, and he is unapologetic about it. So if you don't like that kind of stuff, my caution that please avoid this book. But if you can get over that for the first few chapters, then you will love this book, because this book is a stark reminder that life is about hard knuckle grinding, hard work. Life is not a life hack, and everybody has to work through tough challenges. Don't look for easy pathways, because that doesn't last, and it only works for some people, may not work for others. Eventually life is tough and one has to go through it. So once again, a reminder that pain, sorrow, and even death are part of life. Don't resent them, use them to improve and get better. So this was my, I would say, review and summary of the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And I would hugely encourage you to read it. And if you did like this, please comment, like, or share this video so that this can reach to more people. And I will try and bring you more such reviews almost every week. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.